It's 10 a.m. in Lagos, Nigeria. That means it's time to do business on Business Morning here on Channels Television. Good morning and welcome. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Well, let's get right into it, and we start with the market. Chicago corn futures lost ground on Friday, with the market poised for a second weekly loss as a slow pace of U.S. exports weighed on prices. Wheat eased, setting the market on course for a fourth weekly loss, while soybeans are set to end the week marginally lower. Analysts say the outlook for the rest of the month may not be looking so good, as corn export is bearish given the transport issues being faced by shippers because of a low water level in the Mississippi River. For the week, corn is down 0.8%, wheat has given up more than 2%, and soybeans have lost around 0.5%. Lower U.S. exports added pressure in Chicago corn futures. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reported a weekly U.S. corn export sales of 264,000 tons in the week ended 20th of October. That was below the low end of analyst estimates that range between 350,000 and over 1 million tons. And then we go to palm oil. Malaysian palm oil futures dropped on Friday, dragged lower by losses in rival edible oils, and were poised for a weekly drop amid concerns of sluggish demand. The benchmark palm oil contract for January delivery on Bursa Malaysia derivatives fell more than 1% to over 4,000 ringgit, and that's about $867.95 per ton in early trading. The contract has lost 0.84% so far this week. Palm oil is affected by price movements in related oils as they compete for a share in the global vegetable oils markets. And still talking oil now, but now about crude oil prices fell on Friday after China, which is the world's top crude oil importer, widened in COVID-19 curbs, but were poised for a weekly gain on supply concerns ahead of Europe's pending cutoff of Russian imports. Brent crude futures for the day dropped more than $1 to $95.94 a barrel after it rose more than 1% in the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude for futures were down $1.24 at $87.84 a barrel. Still, both benchmark oil contracts were on course for a weekly rise, with Brent heading for a gain of more than 2%. Friday's declines came after the Chinese cities on Thursday doubled down on COVID-19 curbs, sealing up buildings, locking down districts, and throwing millions into distress in a scramble for halt widening outbreaks. In Nigeria, Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa, is applauding the redesigning of the Naira notes. Speaking to journalists at the National Assembly after a closed-door budget defense session, the EFCC chairman questions how the monetary policy can be effective when 85% of the currency in circulation is not being controlled by the government. He also spoke on the fight against corruption in the country.
Let me start. It's a good thing that that the country is redesigning its currency now, because you can. How can you control? How can you have an effective monetary policy when you don't have control over 85% of your currency is out there and people are holding it? People are using that, you know, to speculate on the foreign exchange and all of that. So by coming up with this policy, the government is trying to contain that and ensure that those people that are bringing back all these monies, whether legitimately and or illegitimately, and will be able to monitor, and then the right course of the law will, you know, take its course. As at the 22nd of October this year, we have succeeded in securing 2,847 convictions, you know, and over 70% has to do with the issue of cybercrime. The activities of these cyber criminals is tarnishing our image by the day, you know, across the Atlantic. People are trying to see us, you know, as a cybercrime infested country, which I believe we are not. It is based on maybe the high number of population that you tend to see that, yes, we are doing one or two things, you know, in that area.
That was the chairman of EFCC, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa, and that 85% he referred to is what the CBN governor put at 2.7 trillion naira that is outside the banking system in Nigeria, according to the CBN governor. This is an indication of the size of informal structure when we talk about the economy of Nigeria. Now, what are some of the consequences of having a large part of the economy unstructured or informal? I know that's not news. We've heard that quite a lot of time. What are the opportunities inherent in there? What strategy can be used to optimize those opportunities? That's what we have Mr. Uchenna Uzo, Director, Africa Retail Academy, joining us virtually to discuss. Good morning, Mr. Uzo. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Good morning, Ini. It's a pleasure to be with you again here on Channels Television today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us also. So tell us, Mr. Uzo, we keep hearing Nigeria is largely unstructured, informal, the informal sector is higher, and that's why we see policies not not the impact of policies not streaming down as much as we would have loved to, or as much as we see in other countries. We can't, the economy cannot really be predicted. No, the element of certainty has been taken away because you have a lot or huge part of the economy unstructured. Tell us, how big from your findings is this unstructured part of the Nigerian economy?
Well, it's really huge. It's really enormous. I mean, if we go by the statistics, starting with Africa, 70% of Africa's workforce is in the informal sector, and 80% of Nigeria's workforce is in the informal sector. And in fact, over 90% of retailing activity in Nigeria operates in the informal sector space. And in fact, if you look at one of the common ways of informal business activity in Nigeria, which is street vending, it's estimated that over 2 billion naira exchanges hands in cash daily through the street vending channel. So it is a huge channel, and it's really largely untapped, mainly because people don't understand how it survives and how it works. And the interesting thing about this channel, which really makes it this huge, is the fact that it is where you find the largest base of customers. It's also the distribution backbone of the economy. And it is the place where product and price testing happens. And this is why it is as large as it is.
So does this perspective you have shared, does it support what the CBN governor has said, that you have a lot, about 2.7 trillion naira outside the banking system? Is that what is being controlled or handled by the members of this informal sector?
Yes, I would say largely it is. And I think that it really presents an opportunity rather than a challenge for us. Because if we can harness the power of that largely untapped segment, it can really have and contribute greatly to economic development. And that's why a mindset shift is required to understand really how to decode this unstructured or informal market, which is really what is dominating how business gets done in the economy.
So please share with us, what should be the strategy? I know we're going to have redesigned notes, and maybe that might be one strategy to bring the informal sector into the system. But what, from your perspective, would be a working strategy to harness the opportunities that lie in that area?
Okay, so I think to begin with, we need a mindset shift, as I had said, to begin with a reorientation. So there are a couple of should we say, mistaken notions about informal or unstructured markets. One is people tend to believe that this is a largely illegal market. And because of that, it's believed that one shouldn't do much business with them. But that isn't the case. Of course, there are illegal or shadow operators in that market, but the large majority of people who dominate that market do legal businesses and are actually tax paying. Some statistics show that 90% of those that operate in Nigeria's informal sector pay one form of tax or the other. And the other interesting thing is there's this preconceived notion that people in this sector lack business acumen and that they are a somewhat homogeneous group, which isn't actually the case. There's a lot of heterogeneity, there's a lot of business potential, and therefore to tap into that market, there are a couple of things that are important. I think that the first thing is really for anybody operating in this space to try to put structure within what is seemingly unstructured. That could be done by policy advocacy. That could be done by educating stakeholders in that sector. That could be done by opportunity enablement through the use of technology, which we find operating in the fintech and banking sector at the moment. But beyond that, it's also about understanding why consumers choose to buy in this market and what really makes the market strong. Trust building is important. So earning the trust of the market, earning the trust of the retailers and distributors, understanding how distribution works and how the power play political networks that operate in the informal sector play. But overall, it's about a change in mindset and about educating before litigating and thinking that everybody that operates there is doing things illegally.
So who is supposed to take a lead in this, using this strategy, getting the education to the unstructured? I mean, let's even be more realistic. Who are they? Who are they? You said they pay taxes and they are not illegal. It's not that they're doing illegal businesses. They pay taxes. They're supposed to be responsible members of the society. Who are these people we call members of the unstructured or informal part of the Nigerian economy?
So it's very good that you asked this question, and I'll give you some examples because my interest in the informal economy started with, believe it or not, the Nigerian movie industry, which I have watched closely and studied for the last 12 years. A lot of practices in the movie industry are somewhat informal in nature and yet not illegal. You may also want to look at Computer Village. You may want to look at Aspamda, the automobile versus the other forms of product cluster markets that we have. You may want to look at the food retail sector of Nigeria, and also the interesting thing that in the fast-moving consumer goods sector of our market, close to 80% of sales that come from distribution actually pass through these informal sector markets. And so they are a strong force. And then if you ask, who is going to be responsible for this change, for this development, it really needs to tap from the regulatory standpoint, from the government standpoint, to basically redefine what the informal sector means, to have a policy framework, especially a retail policy framework, that would make it possible for those operating in this sector to have a more enabling environment, to have also tax rebates and regimes that allow them to also look at pensions. So it's interesting that PENCOM is working in that direction to see how to bring in more people who operate in the informal sector into the pensions regime. But apart from that, also public and private sector partnerships are important for making this work, because the informal sector is everywhere and it's not something we can run away from, but it's rather something we need to think about how to integrate, how to synergize, how to use technology to uplift and to help those who operate in this sector.
Sounds like a long-term assignment. Are there short-term, we can have some milestone and say maybe in the next couple of years, if we do this, we could at least mop up a part of the informal sector and put them in the structured and then move to the next stage?
Well, I would say the one of policy development isn't so long-term. it's really about having a think tank group. And the African Retail Academy is already putting some structure in that place to help to champion retail policy development in Nigeria and then later on, outside of Nigeria. It is also about really having some partnerships, small-scale partnerships that can help. And it's about testing before we scale, because to be honest, it is so huge that we can't have a massive rollout at the moment. We need to be able to test across particular sectors, see what works, and then scale. But technology also is one thing that can help us scale very well. And I must say again that the fintechs and also a lot of e-commerce kinds of arrangements could help us formalize as we move on.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they do pay taxes. We know, for instance, if you talk about the retail, the women in the markets, they do pay taxes. Yep. But the question is, where do their taxes end up? Do they end up where they're supposed to end up? We see the government aggressively looking for how to increase tax, expand the tax nets and all of that. Are they part of it, or they have been left out and then they are paying taxes but to the wrong or through the wrong channels?
Well, I would say that if the taxes they were paying were being utilized for retail development and to create an enabling environment, perhaps we wouldn't be so much where we are. So I wouldn't say that all of what is being paid, at least from the impact perspective, can we say is really being plowed back into improving the operations, retail operations and informal sector operations. So clearly, I think that there's need to differentiate, and there's need to really rethink how to apply those taxes that are being paid. And perhaps, as I had said, tax rebates, tax reform, basically to enable these people scale. The other interesting thing, by the way, is that, as you know, I think that the SMEs, the small and medium scale enterprises in Nigeria, contribute up to about 50% of Nigeria's GDP. And it's also interesting to note that about 65% of that comes from informal sector operators, who are there. And so there's actually room by supporting these SMEs with the right enablement to do more in this sector.
Yeah, and one of the strengths of Nigeria is its population, and there lies the markets we boast about. But it remains to be seen if we're really making the most of the markets that we have, or if that market is being exploited, especially by foreigners. What can we do to really feel the impact of these huge markets that Nigeria has when we're talking about retail, especially?
Okay. So from the point of view of retail, I think what we can do is, first of all, to know that just because our market is huge doesn't mean that we should be complacent. As you rightly mentioned, the world around us is closely looking at Nigeria as the largest economy and the largest consumer market in Africa. And they are going to come in and they are going to take advantage. And we can't really stop that unless we up our game, unless we try to redefine our operations, we try to be innovative in terms of our product and service offerings, and then we capitalize on the local opportunities that operate here. So it's really around a mindset change. That's the way I think it would go. And also understanding how consumers behave. Because it's interesting, actually, that consumers are not going away from the informal sector markets. They do work in modern, buy from modern channels as well, but the informal market continues to stay. So understanding why and how they choose to play in this market is important.
All right, we have to thank you so much, Mr. Uche Nauzo, Director, Africa Retail Academy, for your time this morning. And as you have said, we do hope that this will feel the impact of these huge markets that Nigeria has on the continent and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ini. This has been really wonderful. I look forward to another opportunity to do this again. Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much. All right, now, do you know that that 5,000 Naira vehicle insurance policy can actually get you ₦1,000,000? Maybe you did, but have you used it before? Well, join us after the break for that conversation. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. You're welcome back. Well, Nigeria's insurance industry, which Augustus & Co. places at about 502 trillion naira for 2022, has been battling with a lot of unawareness and mistrust, poor patronage by a lot of Nigerians. But you have been compelled to get that vehicle insurance, which costs 5,000 naira for a year. Did you know that with that 5,000 naira annual motor insurance premium, you can actually claim 1,000,000 naira third-party damages? Okay, maybe you do, maybe you don't, maybe you do, but you haven't used it before. But we have here in the studio Mr. Raymond Akalonu, Chief Operating Officer with Fast Claim Solutions Limited, to tell us how we can maximize and perhaps how to make us trust insurance companies more. Good morning, Mr. Akalonu.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So it's been decades, and it seems that you don't have a lot of Nigerians still trusting the insurance companies or claims or policies.
Yeah, that's correct. That's why the penetration is still low. But a lot is happening to create that awareness, to rebuild that trust so that people could learn to trust insurance. It really works. If it has worked in other climes, it's working. It's just because of past experiences, most people don't want to give it another chance to see that it is really working. A lot has changed. Yes.
It's changing, I hope.
Yes, it is. It is, I can assure you.
All right, so I guess the most interesting part of this would be that one we are all compelled to get, the 5,000 naira, and now we're being told that we can actually claim up to 1,000,000 naira. How true is that?
That's correct. By default, the third-party policy entitles the claimant to 1,000,000 naira by default. It's not that the 1,000,000 naira will be paid to you, the person that has bought the 5,000 naira policy, rather your liability to the third party. So I'll give you an illustration. If I'm driving my car and I have a third-party policy and I hit your own car, then your car will be, whatever it costs to fix your car, subject to a maximum of 1,000,000 naira. That policy, the 5,000 naira policy that I have, will take care of it. You don't need to start doing the ballaying or rolling on the floor if you have a genuine third-party policy. Yes.
Okay, but I guess the problem is, yes, we know that, but the process. You know, I think in the United States, what they do is you just give the person's number and the person accesses it, talks to the insurance company. But it's not that straightforward in Nigeria.
Well, I can still say it is that straightforward because, yes, there's a trust issue. That's why you can't collect my paper and then think all is well. There's a trust issue. But if you follow the laid-down procedures, and it is quite clear. The first thing in the claims process is notification. Tell your underwriter or insurance company that it has happened. The loss you insured against has happened. The onus is on me, the person that has that 5,000 naira policy, to prove that it has actually happened. That's number one. And then this is the amount of loss. And remember, the 5,000 naira policy is not for own damage. It's not for damage to my own car, rather damage to the third-party claimant. If I damage your car, the cost of repairing your car will be borne by that policy. There are liabilities. If I damage your property, it will be borne by that insurance policy. If actually it results in debt, that will equally be borne by that policy. So the issue of 1,000,000 limitation does not apply to debt because the cost will determine what, and the insurance companies will pay.
Okay, so now you said the first thing is to prove.
Yes.
What does proving mean? Is it I take the picture and send to the insurance company? Is it I send a complaint from the person whose car I have hit, or what is that procedure?
A simple procedure of saying, I call my insurance company, company X, or I write them a letter and say that I have been involved in an accident, okay? And this accident has resulted in so damage. You take pictures. These days we have our smartphones, we take pictures, we can upload them to the insurance company, and a lot is happening in that space. There's a lot of insurtech, even mobile apps that has come up now, that you just pull up your mobile app, snap the pictures, put in the details of that incident, submit. It goes to the insurance company and you receive an acknowledgement. Those mobile apps are bound. They will easily make it very, very easy for you to breach that process of documentation. It's essentially notification and documentation. Documentation, the owner of the car will have to bring estimate of repairs of his car, which of course will be vetted by the insurance company. You may have been repairing your distance at mile 12, and then now because accident has occurred, you say you want to go to Mercedes Place. It doesn't happen that way. However, once you bring your estimate, they will check it for reasonableness. And once that is ascertained, it is paid.
How long does this take? Because I do know that for property insurance, for instance, the vetting takes so long that individuals would have to take care of the issue, the damages, and then wait to be refunded, you know, because of the urgency. And I mean, if I need to use my car every day, I cannot wait, you know, for such a long time.
That has changed. There are some insurance companies that will pay you, depending on the value, within 24 hours. Some will pay you 48, 72, depending on the damage. Okay, so if you notify them in good time, bring estimate of repairs, show them the pictures of the damage. Some of them, when they assess it and the estimate is within 250, thereabout, they pay immediately. Some, depending on what you have presented, will ask an adjuster to come and look at it and say that, yes, it is correct. And once it is correct, no underwriter that is what is onions this time will delay your claims, because the test of an underwriter is in his ability to pay claims, and they have been paying.
So there's no need to actually have all those long dramas that we have on the road, except you have been involved in one before, because a policy only covers one incident.
Yeah. Well, no. If it covers one incident, and then you renew your policy, it goes ahead. So if you cannot drive without an insurance policy, and without a motor insurance policy, as the case may be. So what we are saying is that there has been a lot that has changed in that space. Oftentimes people say insurance don't pay claims, but they actually do. I can tell you, even in the life segment, a particular insurance company has paid about 16 billion naira for the first 9 months in claims. Some have paid 8. On the average, you see 6 general businesses. So a lot is happening. And I've told you, they should even take advantage of those mobile apps so that you don't even feel I have issues, I can't send pictures to this. Pull out your Fast Claim mobile app on your phone. It's easy to do.
All right, so another thing is, we do know that either by default or ignorantly, some Nigerians tend to buy fake policies. Because I don't think it costs, everybody knows it's 5,000 naira. I don't think it costs less. So this is only possible if you're dealing with a genuine insurance company. But, you know, for Nigerians to know who is genuine and not, I guess, is your responsibility.
Well, by
to do due diligence.
Yes. You can go to most, if you go to touts, you get what you take, because oftentimes you see that 5,000 naira policy, they are selling it at 3,000 or 2,000 somewhere, and you buy. Even when you buy, you can authenticate it. You see, that's why I say the insurance industry is doing a lot. With what I have even mentioned to you, you can authenticate the genuineness of that policy that you have in your hands. And once you do that, you're good to go. So it is for you to be careful. And even when you buy, authenticate. Reach out to that insurance company and say, I have this policy with you. Could you confirm? And they will confirm to you.
Okay, so I guess this should reduce some of the drama.
It is.
On the road. But I mean, the insurance industry still has a lot of work to do, getting people to trust them and trust the process, because this, the issue of vetting and the duration to pay claims has always been on the minds of a lot of Nigerians.
You're correct. There's a lot to be done, but again, that has become the distinguishing factor. People, insurance companies that are paying you your claims should be the ones you patronize. So claim settlements has become a distinguishing factor in the industry now. And trust me, a lot is happening. Positive.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Kalonu, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For giving us that insight into especially the the vehicle insurance.
Yes.
Because it's like, I think it's the most common. And
Yes.
everyone is compelled
And in
to...
fact, it is important you know what to bring. The claims form, police report if it involves bodily damage or death, estimate of repairs. That's all you need to send.
But once it doesn't involve bodily damage,
injury or
then
death,
you don't need police report. You just need the pictures,
yes,
estimates
of
the repairs.
And there it goes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr.
you.
Kalonu, Chief Operating Officer of Fast Claim Solutions Limited. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
So there you have it. That 5,000 Naira insurance, vehicle insurance you have, can save you a lot of trouble and headache. It's not just to fulfill the requirements by the VIO. It actually is worth something, worth ₦1 million when the need arises. Well, let's leave that now and head to the market. And Will steps in with her numbers. Will, hi.
Ini, do I have insurance for my equities? As in, that's what I thought about now.
I think we should call Mr. Kalonu.
I think we should, because I was thinking I need to insure my investments.
Investments.
How can I just,
hedge against inflation
and everything, the volatility, the up and down.
I think that's a business, a line of business I will start. But I hope you'll be ready to pay, because it's a cost you a lot.
Of course,
because the uncertainty is high.
We'll pay the premium.
The uncertainty is high.
Let's start with the fixed income market. We saw the bond secondary market traded on a bearish note yesterday. Yields are still going up there with improved offers seen on the long end of the curve. However, the market closed with few trades executed on the 2037 paper. But we are also seeing, this is also due to limited bids to match the offer. Now, the Treasury bills market also, started on a quiet note yesterday. We saw mixed notes, mixed sentiments from investors. It was still bearish, though. Yields are still trending high in that segment. And the session saw offers on the long end of the curve, though it was, we saw a wide bid offer spread in that space. Nevertheless, we saw a sizable number of trades executed for the September 14th paper and the October 26th paper there. So, but we also, the special bills paper, that's the CBN special bills paper, we saw that it experienced minimal activity in the market. Well, we're going to bring in informal Onyejekwe. She's a fixed income dealer at UBA to give us more insights as what's going on in the market, especially with the new redesigning of the Naira. Good morning, Choma. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Lou. Thank you for having me.
Choma, it's been buzzing here and there. I'm sure you know about it, that we're going to have a redesigned Naira. The central bank says it's going to happen soon. That's December 16th. And we're going to skip the cost of that, and we'll talk about the impact this will have on the fixed income market. Could you quickly give us a bit of an insight as to the near-term impact on fixed income markets, especially to liquidity?
Yeah, so you rightly said that the CBN plans to redesign the 200, 500, and 1,000 notes in a bid to mop up excess cash in circulation. So based on that, we've seen that bank charges for deposits have already been suspended, and some banks have also started limited tactic banking to facilitate the collection of these cash deposits. This new switch is just in 3 months away, and it may likely lead to high speculation on the Naira, as the majority of the population live in rural areas away from bank branches. But apart from that, as we're going to be seeing subsequent cash deposits, so we'll see an increase in system liquidity. For the past several weeks, system liquidity has been a ripple. That has also had an effect on the subscription on the NTB auction. We saw the last one was massively undersubscribed. Apart from system liquidity, we're also seeing voter apathy. But as these cash deposits begin to come in, we'll see system liquidity be on the increase and money market rates reduce from ceiling rates of currently at 16% level, 16.5% level. So we'll see a likely reduction in money market rates, and as well as system liquidity being increased.
So if there's a reduction in the money market interest rate, how's that going to pan out for investors? Are we going to see lower investments coming into that space, moving to other equities, probably to the equity segment? Is that going to happen?
For now, we would likely see cautiousness because the first reaction to new regulations is likely to be a flight to safety by investors. So we expect to see some initial speculation against Naira. So we don't see, high subscription rates. We don't see high subscription rates in fixed income security because we'll likely see cautiousness to see, what's going to happen as the months go by. Because in terms of uncertainty, investors, speculators, and manufacturers will prefer to go long in dollars and short in domestic currencies.
Okay, so now the NTB auction that took place on Wednesday, can you just give us a quick insight that we saw there was a hike in the stop rates for all three tenors. Can you just give us a background as to why we're seeing this push and how this is going to pan out for the next auction, seeing this redesigning that's coming up?
Yeah, so regularly we would see oversubscription, but it was a very huge surprise that we saw a massive undersubscription. 240.26 billion was offered, and 136.96 billion was the subscription amount, while 109.18 billion was the final allotment figure. These figures were very, very surprising to the market. And it was not surprised because of investor apathy. So we were not surprised that stock rates across all tenors were increased. The 91-day bill increased to 6.5 from 6.47. The 182-day bill was increased to 8.05 from 7.9, while the 364-day bill was increased to 14.5 from 13%. And based on these precedents of consistent increases, especially on the one-year bill for the past 4 auctions, and also investor apathy, we would expect subsequent increase in the next auction as the investors also remain cautious based on this new CBN policy.
Thank you so much, Informal Yejekwe, fixed income dealer, UBA, for sharing your insights with us. So, Ini, we're going to just close up with the NGX. We saw a massive drop yesterday, 0.52%. That's halting the 3-day rally that we saw. So we're thinking it was going to, stay up there, but, Wood sneezed. Airtel Africa did sneeze yesterday and brought the market down. As usual, brought the market down. It was 2.83% lower yesterday, closing at 1,275 Naira. Now, when Airtel and MTN and the giants, all the giants, the big names in the market, when they sneeze, the market does respond. And it was a hurricane yesterday. Well,
yeah, we do wish we have more giants like that.
like that.
So, if we had a lot of giants, then one giant would not have so much impact on the market.
So that's basically what we have. But
yeah,
we're hoping that we'll see more upside, so you can have something positive to report tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that, Will. Thank you so much. All right, so let's go to London now, where Juliana is standing by. Hi, Juliana. Good morning. Well, we've been talking about the year of the squeeze, and people are finding ways around it. Now, what we hear is you guys are buying a lot of air fryer and sleeper. I'd like to see yours, Juliana. Do you have yours yet?
I don't want you to embarrass me this morning by showing off my pretty battered slippers. But what is quite interesting is yesterday my eldest daughter did say, Mummy, what I want for Christmas is an air fryer. And that's because air fryers really are trending. And it's not just for teenage TikTok users. We are going through, as we've discussed extensively, in a cost of living crisis, and consumers in Britain are, lapping up these energy consuming products. And according to GSK, which is a market research firm, air fryers are on top of the list, as well as other items like electric blankets, slippers. And we're not talking about those slippers that we use around the house when we're cooking and cleaning. We're talking about really warm, cozy ones, because of course, we are being told we're going through a difficult winter, but the fact that consumers are lapping up these products is really good for retail. We know it's been battered. Last week we had retail sales data for the month of September showing that retail sales have dropped again by 1.5%, but in some areas they are doing exceptionally well. In fact, according to GSK, air fryers are up. Sales of air fryers are up 4 times in the month of September than where they were this time last year. So they're pretty good. I don't know if you've had a chance, Innie, to check them out, but apparently you can put everything in them. So yes, my daughter wants it for Christmas. If she'll be doing.
Well, talking about making lemonade from lime or lemon, I mean, let's make the most of what we have. Well, we also see yesterday we talked about Shell, that huge profits. Now we have NatWest also reporting 1.1 billion pounds. This squeeze is not affecting them.
It isn't, although you'll be surprised that NatWest is one of the biggest fallers on the FTSE All-Share Index today. In fact, it's in the red, and their shares fell about 8 to 9%, and this is even after posting pretty decent profits for the 3 months to the end of September, which came in at £1.1 billion, slightly short of market expectations of £1.2 billion. But you're quite right in what you were saying. We are bang in the middle of Q3 trading updates. NatWest is the largest big British bank to report their earnings. Of course, they are, taxpayer funded. 47% of shares are owned by taxpayers, because when it was Royal Bank of Scotland during the financial crisis, the British government had to bail out RBS to make sure that they didn't collapse with I think it was about £45.5 billion. So NatWest is always one that the markets are really looking at. I think one of the reasons why their shares have fallen is because banks have benefited from high interest rates. Rates have been rising, I think, about 6 times. We've got another meeting next week, Thursday, when we decide what interest rates will be going forward. But, the cost of borrowing is much higher. And we are already starting to see, mortgage owners, they are starting to not pay their mortgages. People that are having significant loans, business owners, they're not paying it. And I think that sentiment that was felt by investors in the trading update may prove difficult and tricky for banks to kind of have this boost that they've had in Q3 and Q4. But again, as I always say, we shall wait and see. But yeah, NatWest, even with that boost in profit, still one of the biggest fallers on the FTSE today.
All right, Juliana, thank you so much for that, and I hope you grant the little girls wishes for Christmas.
Yeah, we'll wait for your gift, Innie. If you could do it for them, that would be great.
All right, Juliana, thank you so much. Talk to you later at 1:30.
Talk to you then.
All right, so from there now we head to the crypto market now to look at the numbers, and it's fair today. It's fair from fair yesterday, but yesterday was better because yesterday we had 33. Today we have 30. I hope it's not getting back to extreme fear. Investors are still afraid to get into the market, which is a general sentiment, not just in the crypto market, but in other markets, as we spoke to Will some minutes ago. Looking at the market cap, it's dropped from that 1 trillion naira that Ladiso celebrated yesterday. In just 24 hours, is down 2.58%, down to $983.26 billion, losing that 1 trillion naira cap that brings a little bit of joy and relief to the heart. 24-hour volume is also down 16.31% at $86.38 billion. BTC dominance is slightly down compared to yesterday, 24 hours ago, at 39.58. Let's look at the price of Bitcoin. I know sometime in the afternoon or late afternoon yesterday, it dropped from 20, but it's back on 20, even though it's still down at 20,291.84. 24-hour volume also has dropped from yesterday, 48.01 billion naira. We have Solomon Amunde now joining us for a conversation. Hi, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning, Nini.
So yesterday when we spoke to, I guess, when Laddie spoke to the crypto guest, he was really excited and the market was looking, at least had that more green touch. But it seems to have lost all of that. What's happening again?
Yeah, we were faced with some serious resistance at $21,000. And as usual, we would still try it again. We are just retracing for the short term. We can just retrace most likely at most to about $19,800, after which we should try making another leg up to attempt to break $21,000 again. So most likely I'm anticipating to see this happen between tomorrow and Monday next week.
So are we hoping that by Monday we'll hit the 21,000?
Yeah, definitely. We are hoping that would hit 21,000, but to break 21,000, that I am definitely not sure we will yet. We don't have that much volume. We need serious volume to be able to break past 21K dollars. But in summary, we are looking at November to be a green month. November would most likely be a very green month.
When you say you're looking at November to be a green month, are you saying we're going to get out of the bear market?
Getting out of the bear market, that wouldn't be happening anytime soon. I mean, the trend is a very long one, and that would mean we would have to break above 35K dollars, which I don't see happening anytime soon. So we'll still be in the bear market zone for like the next 6 months or even 8 months. But most likely we'll still be trading within the range of 17K and almost 35K dollars.
All right, so what's happening with the alts? What alts can you say investors can look out?
Yeah, the alts haven't responded yet to the spike of Bitcoin from about 19K to almost 21K. Most alts are still gradually trying to get the desired volume to make that upward movement. But short term, BNB has done very well. So far, so good. It has done very well. Some other exchange tokens are not yet reacting. But we are looking at DeFi protocols with huge trading volume and also huge total value locked. They'll be the next to start making an upward movement within the next few weeks. So we're looking at DeFi projects, basically.
All right, thank you so much, Solomon. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and look for at least that 21,000 on for BTC next week, and do hope that before the end of next week, we'll hit the 21 and stay on the 21,000.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Solomon Amundi, financial market analyst, for joining us with that. Now, let's look at some numbers just before we go. Let's look to the top alts by market cap. BNB, that Solomon mentioned there, is top on that list, but it's all in the red today. They've lost those very beautiful numbers we had yesterday. BNB is down more than 1%. Cardano, eCash is also down. Nobody was able to escape it. Talking about the alts, top alts by market cap, all in the red at the close. In 24 hours, these numbers we're talking about 8 a.m. And then let's see the top gainers. Top gainers, we have, I think we have a lot of stable coins there telling us that the market is not looking so good this Friday. Top losers, also we see double-digit losses there. Mostly sheep are one of our favorite there, is also in that red today. So that's it. We don't know how the market will look like, but Solomon says let's keep our fingers crossed and look forward to a 21,000 BTC by Monday, or at least on Monday. We'll see how that goes, and also, of course, see what's happening with the alts. But that's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of Business Morning. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We've done it together, and it's been an interesting one. Had some shocks, had some ups, and had some downs. The journey starts again next week. Do join us. Will Ibong will be here at 1:30 with Business Incorporated to give you update from the world of business. I'll see you at 10 p.m. for the stock market report. But for now, say have a profitable business day. I'm Ini John Mekwa.